All right, so welcome to your second week in processing. Thank you for joining. My name is Vijay Sai, and what we're going to do is we're going to start with an opening prayer. So, everybody just close your eyes and. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakayeshu Sarvada Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right, thank you. Let's all take a deep breath and let's start our first things first. So what we need to do right now is we have to download processing. Of course, many of you have done it before, like last class. So I'm just gonna quickly. Many of you had a lot of problems. So I'm just gonna share my screen and I'm just gonna show how the entire thing works. There's a few more new people over here, so I'm just gonna present my screen. Everybody thumbs up. Everybody can see my screen. Awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to search for processing. Super simple. Just search for processing. This is our IDE that we're going to use for animating our Java code. So let's go ahead, click processing. Let's download processing. And let's go ahead and download the Windows version. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to download it into my downloads. So if I go and download it over there, it's going to go ahead and download. So as you can see, it's just downloading its own thing over here. So let me just go quickly to my downloads over here. And as you can see, it's downloading over here, but let's say you've already downloaded it. So what you will see is, hold on, let's just let it download. It's taking a long time, but like whatever. So what I did is I put it over here in my, let's see, or yeah, let's just let it download and let's get back to it later. All right. So now I'm just going to share the screen over here. So, and then next things next is to join my Google Classroom. All my information, and I'm recording all these videos, so you don't have to worry about, taking notes and stuff like that. Everything you can revisit back to this Google Classroom, and everything should be on there. So I really want everybody to be on there. And now that that's over, of course, everything is on my YouTube channel. And you'll find this in my Google Classroom. I created a YouTube channel called Viprav Programming. And all my processing YouTube channels, YouTube videos will be on there. Okay, and a huge thanks to Daniel Schiffman, which is my inspiration for using processing in the first place, like using animation to teach Java. So now let's get into the introduction. So first of all, let's talk about who am I? Who is Vijay Sai? That's me. I'm Vijay Sai. What I have in my belt is that I am certified in all 3 Oracle Java certifications. So the first one is the Oracle Certified Associate. So that's basically like it's like really basic Java stuff. And the second one I'm also certified in is the Oracle Certified Professional about Java SE 8. So super advanced stuff, we're not going to be covering this specifically, maybe in later times when we have a little bit of, time. And finally, this is the last stage in the Java certifications that Oracle gives, which is the Java EE, which means for Enterprise Edition. So that means creating applications for businesses. That's what this tests for. So with all the 3 Oracle Java certifications, I'll teach you about the huge ocean that is Java. So Java literally has no end. It keeps on, like, there's stack over stack over stack of new stuff that's added every single year. But I want to teach specifically processing, which is this guy over here, before we get into the core meat of Java. So let's take a look at our weekly warm-up. So first of all, what is programming? Programming is basically making a dumb computer do amazing things. Basically, you're turning a computer that can't do anything on its own into stuff that you can do on your own, like a lot of arithmetic or calculating the weather system or stuff like that. We're going to learn all that over here. And what's awesome about programming is that it can do stuff that even you can't do, like calculating what stock to invest in, all that stuff. So to make it really simple, programming is just input, processing in the middle, and output. You input your code, it does something, and then it outputs your result. What's amazing is that every single computer in the world works just like this. There's an input, there's a processing, and there's an output. And depending on what the middle part is, the black box that you see, you can do basically anything as long as you have an input and you have an output that will come out of the black box. So why learn programming? We want to learn programming because a computer is, again, super good at solving problems, especially really, really boring stuff. Let's talk about drawing. So next we're going to draw with pixels. So here is what you're used to. Of course, last class I've already taken care of this. And this is what processing reads. Notice how in your case, the Cartesian plane that you understand, the middle point is right in the center of the rectangle, basically. And there are negative numbers. Over here, we have an x-axis and a y-axis that goes downwards. So that means this 5, 4 point is from 5 this way and 4 down. And so this is how points would look like. In fact, let's actually let's go into our let's admit this guy, of course. Look apart that. And let's start our processing. So of course, I'm sure that processing has already downloaded for you guys. Let's go into our downloads. And inside the zip folder, what you want to do is right click it and extract all. And what you want to do is extract it right over here. So go ahead and click extract. Let's do that. And now it's going to do its own thing. There we go. Okay, so now that you have processing here, what you want to do is open up processing.exe. For me, I already have it on my desktop over here, so I'm just going to turn it on. It's just taking a while. Let's just wait for a bit. There we go. Okay, so let's just open this guy up. Whoa, buddy. Okay, let's exit this out. There we go. Okay. That's it. Okay, so I'm just gonna open my recent. So let's see. So we are going to open up this over here. So I created my own file called Coding Sketch. How that happened was you're going to be greeted with this guy. So what you want to do is do Control S to save it, and I saved it as this name over here. So I'm just going to close this guy. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to create a point in processing. So I'm just going to create a window called size, and let's make this bigger actually. This is really small. I'm pretty sure you guys can't see this. So let's make it like 18, yeah? Okay, that's so much better. Okay, so let's do 640, 320, and now let's create a point. So point, what do you guys say? So 300, 300. So if we do that and run it, go ahead and run it. There is a point. Where is it? Where is it? It's somewhere over here. But there's a point somewhere. Oh, there we go. It started downloading and it's already done extracting. Awesome. So there is a point somewhere around here. Let me try to find it. This is so weird. 200. 200. There we go. Let's try running this. And there it is. Wait. There it is. There it is. Okay. It's super tiny, but I'm sure you guys probably can't see that at all. But there is a point over there, which is awesome. So we made our first point. Now let me just check my. Let's admit him. There we go. Okay. So now let's get back into our thing over here. So what you saw over there in our point, so let's go back to it. We saw point and then we put an argument. So this is what we call a function. This entire thing is called a function, and this is called a command. So this guy over here, a command. This entire thing is called a function, and these guys are arguments. So 200, 200 are arguments for the x value of the point and the y value of the point. So now, this is what we did basically. So the 0, 0 point is over here, and the x-axis, it tells it to move 5 over here and 4 down. So that's our example that we've shown over here. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to create a line. So really, it's just 2 points. So what we'll be doing is we'll be creating 1 point, and we'll be connecting it with with a line. We're going to connect 2 points with a line. So super simple. What we do is line. And then we have 1 point over here. So this is 1 point. And this is going to be our other point. So 300, 300. Let's go ahead and run it. And now you see our line. We created our line. All right. So, but you guys probably already noticed from last week. So let's move on to a rectangle. So a rectangle is, instead of just, 2 points, it's just a point, and it tells how much of an x-axis do you want to be and how much of a y-axis, what's the height of the rectangle. So let's create a rect. 200, 200 is going to be our point where it starts, and let's make the rectangle, let's say 50 by 50. Or actually, let's make it 100. Awesome. So here is our rectangle. So now that you know all that, literally, like, there's a lot more stuff. Like, for example, hey, let's create a circle. Let's create, it's called ellipse. And let's go with, so this will be our point, so 200, 200. And this will be its x-axis, so how wide you want the circle to be. And this will be our y-axis, so how what's the height of the circle. So let's make that both 100. Let's try running that. And now that's our circle. So there's a bunch more like shapes you can do in processing, but here are the basics. So what we're going to do next is we're going to learn about the RGB color. So again, this is a refresh. I just want to make sure that people understand what's going on. So over here, you can see that there is basically like the outline of the rectangle, which is called stroke. So think of processing as a person. So processing would pick up a certain color pencil if it tries to go into stroke over here. And if it reads fill, it will pick up a paint bucket which fills the inside of the rectangle in a certain color that you put. So the way that it learns, it knows what color you want, is that every single color is made out of red, green, and blue. So what processing reads is that from 0 to 225 number, it's gonna ask you, okay, let me create a outline of, let's say we go 200, 255, 0, and 0. So this will create a red outline circle. There we go. And let's say we want to put a fill of 0, 0 to 55. That will fill the circle with, you guessed it, blue. So it has a red outline and it has a blue interior. So this stroke over here, make sure that processing draws it with a red outline, fill with a blue interior. Okay, awesome. So thank you so much for being so patient. I mean, there's also a lot more to cover too that I didn't cover last week. So let's say that we created this guy, right? It's kind of bland background. We want to make it a little bit more spicy. So let's put in background. So let's tell processing to put in, let's see, a green background. So 255, 0. So again, this is our red value, this is our green value, and this is our blue value. That means we have no red, no blue, but all green. So let's go ahead and run it and check it out. So now we have a green background, a red outline, and a blue circle interior. Okay, awesome. So now what I want to talk about is, a lot of the times you'll see me do this. So, hey guys, this is called a comment. So that means that processing or Java won't be able to read this thing. So let's say I write something like some gibberish, right? Processing will completely ignore this if I put these double slashes in the front. This is what we call comments. If to show you that, if I remove it, then processing will be able to read it, and then it will give me an error. So we don't want this. We want to do that. All right. So this is a comment. Next, this is kind of a little advanced, but this is called transparency. So not only can you do RGB, but you can add another thing called alpha. So let's say you want to make your stroke completely transparent. So it goes from 0 to 255 again. So let's say you want to do it a little transparent. So let's try running that. And oh, that was a really bad example. Let's try to fill. So let's do 100. And let's run it and check it out. So this circle is a little bit, you can see a little bit right through it. And that's what this transparency number does. So red, green, blue, and this is the transparency number. So it can go all the way to 255. If you try to running that, you'll see that it's completely opaque. If you do 0, you will see this guy over here. Okay, so now that we are good with that, let me minimize these. We're gonna get into the actual week 2 topic that we're gonna be talking about today: flow, events, and variables. So just real quick, I just want everybody to take a breather. All right, that was a lot of stuff that we just covered. And I just want to know if does anybody have any questions, anything that they want to add before we get into the actual lesson?
I had a question.
Go ahead.
So you have the current like 3 primary colors, and primary code is red, green, and blue. So is there the command for white because like white kind of like represents all the colors. So like, wouldn't don't you need white in order to create like the other colors of the rainbow?
That's really true. Actually, one thing that I want to here, let me just present my screen once again for you guys. Let me go ahead and share it. Let me show you exactly what Keishan is trying to talk about. So, let me go into my processing over here. Let's go into, there we go. And there we go. Oh, that's it. Okay. So what we're going to do, what Keishan wants is whites. So let's create a white colored, you know, circle. So you can either do, so let's say you want to do, so white is red, green, and blue all the way to the max. So 255, 255, 255. So if you do that and run it, you'll see we have a completely white circle. But you know, programmers are pretty lazy, so they don't want to type in 255 all the time. So what you can do actually, a short form is just to put 255, and if you run that, you get this. In fact, what you can do is you can make it even any sort of gray. So let's say we don't want completely all red, blue, and red, green, and blue. Let's say we want 150, 150, 150, red, green, and blue. Or in short, because we're lazy, 150. So if we run that, you'll see that it actually gets darker shades of gray. If you go all the way to 0, it's going to become black. So as you can see, Kishan, that everything is basically, so this is basically what we call grayscale. So grayscale is just going from black all the way to white. So yeah, let me just go
Okay,
back to,
thank you.
yeah, no problem, no problem. Anybody else? No? Going once? Going to, oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Oh wait, yeah, I have a question. How do you like? What are the coordinates to put your circle at the center of your screen?
Ooh, okay, let me try that. That's a good question. Let me try it. Let's see. So, everybody can see my screen, right? Okay, awesome. So what we're gonna do is our coordinates of our circle is this guy over here, right? So the center of the screen is basically, imagine it. You have a 640, so 640 by 320, so 320. So let's divide 640 by 2. We get what? 320. And divide 320 by 2, and you get 160. So if we try that, our circle should be in the middle. Check it out. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so now that we are done with that, let's go into our actual lesson for today. So let's talk about flow. So flow basically is, it's, let me stop presenting so you can see my wonderful face over here. So flow is basically, how does processing read stuff? So how would any person read? What they would do is they would read the title of the book, they would read the table of contents, and once they read the table of contents, they flip to whatever page they want to see. So there's stuff that you read first and you never read again, and then there's stuff that you sometimes read again and again and again. Let's say you're studying for something, you read again and again and again. So that's the same thing what processing does entirely. So I'm just going to share my screen once again just to show you guys what's going on. So I'm just going to open up processing. Okay. So over here, what we're doing is when we run this, processing reads all this and stops. So it stops like creating code. It stops drawing stuff. But what we want to do is we want to create something where processing reads stuff only once. Like for example, the background, you don't want to draw that again and again and again, right? Or the size of the window, you don't want to do that again and again and again. So what we can do is there are functions called void setup, and let's put that over there, and void draw. So void setup and void draw are basically, hey, processing, read this once only. So let's say we want processing to read the size and the background. So let me just copy that, put that over there, make it a little pretty. And there's stuff that we want processing to draw again and again and again. So let's say we want processing to draw all these multiple times. So that means that this guy will infinitely run. So infinitely run. So it'll keep on drawing a circle and it'll keep on drawing the circle. So let's make the circle, there we go. And this guy over here will run only once. So run only once. So if you run it, check it out. So of course you can't really see much with this because it looks basically the same. But what's great about setup over here is that this one sets stuff and runs only once. So you can kind of make sure that like stuff won't draw over things that you want to show later. And draw will continuously run no matter what. So let's say if this ball was moving, it would make sure that this ball actually looks like it's moving, because that's basically what videos are. Videos are just really, really fast like images put together. So it creates the illusion of movement. So now that you guys understand what flow is, let's get into our built-in variables. So let's go into built-in variables. Let's hide that. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna learn about moving this guy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a rectangle, just real quick, just no reason, just really random, just a random rectangle. And let's run it. So there it is, or it's more like a square, but you get the point. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna introduce, so these guys over here is the point, right? So 320 and 160 is the point right over here. So what we want to do is, this is really boring. So what we want to do is we want to make it follow the mouse. So inside processing, there's these built-in variables, which are basically placeholders that hold on to the number which you hold. And it holds on to, like for example, if my mouse was over here, then it would say a really large number. If my mouse was over here, it would say a really small number. And inversely for mouse Y. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run it. And check it. Oh, wow. Ooh, this is interesting. So do you guys think why is there something like, it's like drawing it again and again and again, but it looks like it's almost like glitching out? Do you guys know why?
Because the x-axis or y-axis became based on the mouse, so the x-axis and y-axis is now the mouse's movements.
Yeah, that's true, but why is there, what I want is, I want a green background, and I just want a moving square. But it's kind of like glitching out and stuff. Do you guys know why?
Oh, is it because both the x-axis and the y-axis are both their mouse's x and mouse's y?
Yeah,
You should only look at one of them.
yeah, that's a good one. But actually what's happening is, let me just minus that. What's happening is our green background is drawing only once. So that means every time it keeps drawing this rectangle again and again and again, but it never fills the background again. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move our background into here. So now what will happen is, now our rectangle is moving without the glitchy like, thing. Because every time, every single frame, it's drawing the background with the position of the rectangle. So as it's moving with the mouse, the background is drawing again and again and again, and whatever that glitchy stuff was happening is happening in the background, but the this guy over here, the background keeps drawing over whatever the rectangle or square would be in. So the other built-in variables that we have is something called width and height. So what we're going to do is something really trippy. We're going to take the width. So width, you guys already know, is the width of this guy over here. So from here to here. And the height is from here to over here. Again, the y-axis is always coming from the origin down to over here. So what we're going to do is, if our width is this, right, and our mouse x is a really great number, that means our rectangle is going to be all the way over here. And inversely the same. So it's really hard to explain, but let's run it and see what it does. So now let me just put my mouse in. Whoa. Whoa, okay. Now we're getting interesting. Alright, so now it looks like I'm having a little dance with my little square friend of mine. And the reason why this is happening is because if we only look at our mouse, what's happening really is, as the mouse gets greater and greater, just move this guy over here. As our mouse is getting greater and greater, our mouse x value is getting greater and greater. So that means this whole thing over here, so this guy never changes. Remember, this guy never changes. The width is always 640, right? So as this guy gets greater, this entire thing gets smaller and smaller. So that means as we get greater and greater, this guy moves to the left. And the same thing happens if I move down. As I move down, the mouse Y gets greater, and so the position of the corner over here moves up in position to the mouse X and mouse Y. Okay, so now that we did that, ooh, there's another one that I really want to show you. Let's try doing something like, let's create a line. And you saw what a line does, right? It's pretty boring stuff. Just draws a line. Nothing much. Just a line. Just 2 points, basically. So let me run that. And that's our line. So boring stuff. Not doing anything. Not following my mouse at all, because we didn't put anything over here. We just hard-coded our values. What we want to do is basically... we want to make sure that it follows my mouse. So let's say mouse X, mouse Y, let's say, all right, let's try doing it again. So we have our second point, right? Actually, let's fix our point. So we have a fixed point, and we have a point that keeps on moving with our mouse. So if we do that, check it out. Okay, so this point over here is 200, 200. And this point, the other point, keeps moving along with our mouse. So this is genius. What we can do, actually, let's try doing it the same over here. So now both of them will be moving. So let's say we run that. And it's just a point. It's the problem is that the point and the other point is just drawing over itself. So it's really boring. So what we can do though is, let's try doing, instead of doing the current mouse position, let's do the previous mouse position. So this is P mouse X and P mouse Y. So this will draw, this is the previous mouse condition, or previous mouse coordinate, and this is the second one. So what will happen if we run this? And if you can see it, every frame it's trying to figure out what's the previous mouse position, and it tries to make a little squiggly line. So we can say like, hey, what's up? But this is I don't know. I don't know how impressive that is. What we want to do again is that our background keeps drawing onto the thing. So if we run it, keeps drawing it, so whatever we draw gets erased immediately. So what we want to do is we'll move our background back over here. So if we click run, check it out. So this line never disappears. The background is drawn only once, so I can say BJ. Oh, that's an I. J. That's it. That's my name. And you can do a lot more stuff with that too if you'd like. All right. So you've been awesome. Now you've learned about built-in variables. Our final thing that we're going to learn today is events. So if you just give me a moment to take a breather. Whew. All right. So events. Now, events are basically things that interrupt the flow. So you've learned about flow already. So setup draws only once, and draw runs infinitely. But there are some things that happen in that you can code in that interrupts this flow. So what we're going to learn, for example, is something called, let's say something called mouse pressed. Okay, so this is super simple. All that happens is if the mouse is pressed, then let's change the background to 50. So this will basically, let's say, yeah, let's change this background over here to 50. So what this will do is this will basically erase your work. What that means is this one will run once, this one will run many times, and this one will only run if our mouse is pressed. So if we go ahead and run it, let's say we say code, right? Now if we click it, it's gone. Because this guy over here ran and it completely overwrote what was going on over here. So now let's make a big smiley face. Let's remove that because that was terrible. Okay, so now that's pretty obvious. That's a pretty obvious thing. But there's another thing that you can do called void key pressed. So just like how you can press your mouse, you can also press a key, which can, do lots of other stuff. So let's create a background and let's make it 00255. So this will make it blue. So if we go ahead and run it, all right, so check it out. So it's like, so we can draw. If we press our mouse, everything erases, draw. And if we press a key, so let's say I'm pressing K, it turns the whole thing blue. So now if I keep on drawing, press K, it turns the whole thing blue. If I press my mouse, it turns it gray. So yeah, that's all there is about events. So now we are at the end of our thing. So it's really awesome. Thank you so much, guys. You're learning, you're having a lot of fun. And that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in this week. Next week, we're going to learn about lots of more stuff. Let's see how it goes. If you guys are just as fast as this week, we can even skip ahead into more stuff. So yeah, I'll see you again in a week. Bye, guys.